All right, here we are. That is Sports Weekly, and I am your host, Mazvita Maraire, and glad to be here. Absolutely. So, a lot of stuff going on. Always is around this time of the year, and we like to take you through all of it, especially the inside stuff, and kind of because we're there in the locker room. So, yeah, a really, really big show, as they say, and we'll get to that. What do we got? We got couple tributes off the top. I think Seattle sports lost some icons, that being Lenny Wilkens and Ken Easley. So got some videos. We'll go over that. But anyways, forget about going. Well, that'll tell you what's going on. So a lot going on. Obviously, the Seahawks loss and interesting loss. We'll hear from Mike McDonald in his media briefing yesterday. There was good news. I'll just say it up front that the right guard, Gray Zabel, he was injured during the Rams game, and then Christian Haynes came in, played okay. I look at the snaps, and Mike McDonald said he played well. Christian Haynes did, but Zabel, there was a mist, dark cloud of how long will he be out. And after the game, of course, there was no designation of what the extent of the injury. So he had to go get tested, MRI, magnetic image re-imaging, if you will. So they did, and yesterday the news is that he is day-to-day. So you'll see Mike McDonald break out in this smile and then kind of try to say, well, it's day-to-day, but I don't know. It could be a week. It could be this. Well, coach, if it's day-to-day, it's day-to-day. So it's the life of the NFL of coaches. There's actually this chess game that is always played between the media and the coaches. And in that triad, coach, media, other fans. Well, let me make it a quad. I'm not going to make it a quad. And thanks, Reese Mode. And I'm going to make it a quad in terms of the opponents. So coach tries to protect his team by what? Not tell the media too much, but they have to meet with the media in all sports. I'm just generalizing here. Every coach has to meet with the media. And depending on the sports, then it's the NFL. The NFL, they have to be available on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So that's 3 times a week. And the Sounders in the MLS, I think it's 3 as well. I know NCAA, college football, coach has to be available twice. And so, again, that's always going to be post-game, but they will always have a weekly presser. Same to WNBA. And in the MLB, coach, she's available every day, which is interesting. But I should kind of look that up. But I know that's when media have been able to talk to the various coaches. So what the coaches try to do is, okay, media briefing. I'll just take questions, the coach will, and hear from the media. But he's not going to want to tell you everything, the media, because along with the media, these days it's on YouTube, X is being carried live. So you'd be surprised, or maybe not surprised, that all the other teams are also listening. There is interns, staff that actually monitor the other team's press conference, especially in the division or if you're upcoming. Let's say, look, the Seahawks are going to play the Colts. Colts aren't going to listen to the Seahawks press conference until the week of, or they have somebody monitoring if something comes up. Normally it's the week of. But when you're playing your division rivals and whatnot, they're dialed in. They're listening. They're watching and to hear, especially more in terms of injury report. I think the days of the bulletin board and this player said that you could say that most teams really kind of say, that's not Look, if a team has to get motivated by what their next opponent says, then you're not really ready up for that game, because really it's about a process, about what you're doing. It's about we as a team, and Mike McDonald and even Brian Smetzer. We'll talk to Andrew Bailey about this a little bit. Each team, right? This is how we play. So we're going to game plan for you as the opponent. That's the process. Now, why we want to listen to what's going on in your press conference is injuries, right? Suspensions, any of those kinds of things. And if we can pick up a competitive advantage, then we're going to use it. But you as a coach, you're not going to give up anything. Why? You don't want them to get a competitive advantage. So why would you? So that is always the game you see. I never but you can listen. If you listen real carefully, you can kind of hear where the coach is going and kind of what they're seeming. And so listen up when we talk to Mike McDonald. I'll point it out a little bit over the broadcast there. So that's kind of the media briefing world, if you will. And then, of course, we as the media are trying to get a scoop, especially as beat writers. But there you go. And so it is the season. Is it the holiday season? Well, what's interesting about this time of the year, sports is fantastic. I'm always just absolutely amazed at the targeted advertising, right? The blitz that comes to all of us. And no matter how we consume our news, our content, let me say content. And it's always between, for me, my battle is always between spending and eating, right? Like, oh, the Black Friday sale, the 60% off. Now, what I find interesting is they have pre-Black Friday sales. Try to get you in the door. Well, okay, wait a minute. So if you have a pre-Black Friday sale, why? Well, what happens on Black Friday? Oh, there's a bigger discount. Well, or there isn't. Or do I shop now? Or do I wait? Now I'm confused, right? Well, why did I just go ahead and spend? Maybe I'll get something on the pre Black Friday sale, and then I'll go ahead and ring up another credit card charge on Black Friday, and I'll feel good. And now I'm hungry. Yeah. So, I mean, look, you just have to be really careful or not, but it's there. I mean, it's all targeted marketing. If you ever want to see kind of how the algorithms work, and I do this when I travel. If I'm getting ready to go on a trip, I'll go to Expedia or one of those and plug in my ticket or my travel plans, maybe 4 weeks ahead or a month ahead. And you ever notice how you consume your content? That algorithm will show up. Hey, your trip to LA is now this price, or your trip to Addis Ababa, or your trip to Toronto. I don't know, but either way, it's interesting. So there's a way you could actually play around with algorithms and see, and of course you have a price that you want to wait, and then when it hits that's when you bite. So that's it. I'm actually trying to figure out whether this, don't want to say too many advertisers, but that company that used to be a bookstore that now you can buy stuff online. Now they have this $25 turkey meal dinner, and I was thinking, great, not gonna have a lot of people over, maybe one or two. So for $25, well, I go on there and man, it's a scam because first of all, by the time I did my little turkey and the little stuffing, which they no longer have, they're out of stock. And then you go out and you do your green beans and then your crescent rolls. Yeah, it came out for me, came out to about $14. So I'm winning until it said, okay, when you get to the cart, there's a $35, $24 delivery charge. Wait, what? Yeah, so nah. Unless you pick it up at Amazon Fresh on Aurora. But if you do that, I did say their name. If you do that, then you still have to sign up for their 6 months off free delivery. But after 6 months, it goes to $12.99. Man, yeah. So there you go. First world problems, sure enough, but I think they're coming to us that are kind of in the middle here, right? Just buyer beware has always been the key. So I will swing over to, yeah, the community. The Seattle sports community lost a couple really great icons. And the first one was obviously Lenny Wilkens. And he was the coach, player. And I had no idea that Lenny Wilkens was actually 13. I mean, he's the first individual to, well, first individual, yeah. He's in the Basketball Hall of Fame 3 as a coach, as a player, and also, yeah, player, coach. He was assistant coach 3 times. In 1989 as a player, and 2010 as part of the Olympic. Remember the Dream Team, and then he was an assistant coach. He was named to the 50 NBA top 50 anniversary team in 2021. He was named the 75th anniversary team. So he's one of the 15 greatest coaches. And he was such a beloved Seattle icon by the community. Now, remember, he coached the Sonics 1979 to the championship. Now, some of y'all are wee lads, but 79, I was a junior at Roosevelt. Ooh, fair enough, I'll say it. Roosevelt High School, and I remember the parade that they had when the Sonics beat the Bullets. So just an amazing man, and I've got, got some treats for you. Went to the vault, and let's see. And so pulled up some stuff. And let me start with Detlef Shrimp and talking about Lenny Wilkens. And this was when, thanks for the statue unveiling, but here's Detlef Shrimp talking.
I'm just honored to be part of it. Lenny has been an inspiration for a long, long time to our whole community. Obviously, he's got all the credentials, Hall of Famer 3 times, but more so, he means a lot to our city. He's committed to our city for decades, and this is a special day because I think only 20 pro athletes have a statue in front of a building. When you think about that, it's quite amazing. So he's our star, and with that, all we need now is the Sonics to come back.
Detlef, he's talked. I mean, can you talk about his impact, the community service, and what that does? Because you had a foundation as well. Can you talk about that connection?
Yeah, I think he's inspired a lot of other former athletes and current athletes to get involved. Right? You heard Steve Smith talk about giving back to his community. Kim Matumbo played for Lenny, and went back to Africa and gave back to his community. When I got back to Seattle, when I got traded here, we started our foundation, and Lenny shortly after came back to Seattle after finished coaching, and he got really involved in the community with his foundation. So we did a lot of stuff together, 30 years ago. So it's quite amazing, and I feel his impact every day. He's touched many, many people, and he's a special person. We are fortunate to have him in our community.
What is about this? Is it the community or you all that make the community? I mean,
it's our community for one. I think people care about each other here. I think we care about our community as a whole, not just people, but what we are and what we have. But it takes special people to lift everyone up, and he's definitely one of them.
I got you.
All right, so
What does
there
it
you
feel
go.
like to step into the Athens?
Yeah, let's try. We're not gonna go with that. The ad there, and so that was one. The former Sonics there. The other one I got for you is we're gonna go with Nate McMillan, and so he is. Make sure I get this. Make sure we get it right. So he was there again. This was at the when Lenny's statue was being unveiled, and so this was I've had a real good, been lucky to have this relationship with Nate McMillan, and so here's what Nate McMillan had to say about Lenny Wilkens as well.
Coach Wilkens, I consider one of the greatest NBA leaders the game has ever seen. And, you know, Coach Wilkens to the Seattle community is what Jerry West is to the Los Angeles Lakers. He's what Bill Russell is to the Boston Celtics. He's what Michael Jordan is to Chicago. Lenny Wilkens is our hero, our Hall of Fame. You know, for me, when I came in 1986, I knew the history of Coach Wilkens. He happened to leave the year that I came into Seattle, but I knew that he set a standard for what a supersonic was supposed to be, both on the floor as well as off the floor. That you respect the game, you play the game the right way, you play the game hard, you respect the league. Okay, the NBA, that logo that's on the front of your jersey, and you respect your community. You give back and you serve your community just as they serve us. And so he is just an awesome leader. He's the godfather of Seattle Supersonic basketball. And to be honored the way they did today by putting a statue here in front of the arena, where we will see this forever. I think it was an awesome honor to a great man. You know, not only was he a great basketball player, a great coach, he was an even better person.
And how has that helped you? Because obviously you become a leader, and like you said, you have respected the game and you're coaching again. Just what are some of those things that, help you become where you're at now, which is
pretty. Well, when I got my first coaching job, coaching the Sonics, Coach Wilkens was one of the first guys to call me and congratulate me and basically give me a little wisdom, a little advice. And one thing that he said to me that I have always kept dear to my heart: teach what you know. Teach what you know, because the players will. You can't trick them. You can't try to be someone else. You have to teach what you know, and that was important to me. The other thing that he talked about was inspiring people. He always lived his life to inspire, whether it was a teammate or his players, or he was assisting in the community. He is always trying to inspire people to be better. And, that's the life that I try to live.
Lenny.
All right, there you go. That is Nate McMillan, yeah, former Sonic and obviously coach, and he is an assistant right now, if I remember. And then, so I'd be remiss if I didn't kind of pop in another video of Ken Easley, and this one, Ken Easley was actually one of. There you go. It's a good thing there's a cough button on Zoom, so you have to excuse me, y'all. So, Easley, if you remember, he is now in the NFL Hall of Fame. 2012, he was put in there, but Chesapeake, Virginia, where he was born, and I didn't know this. He was a quarterback, and he was the first one in Virginia high school football to rush and pass for 1,000 yards each season, in one season. So he gets done. 350 scholarship colleges call, and at that time, nobody said no to UCLA. So he went there, and first player in conference. He was honored 4 consecutive years as all conference back in the Pac-10. Don't you forget that. Pac-10 it's all disbanded. Well, the Pac-10 is still alive, but as the UW and Oregon bolted over, and some of Arizona, Utah, those teams have gone. But I digress a little bit. But Easley was All-American 78, 79, and 80. And he finished 9th in the Heisman Trophy balloting in 1980. So Seahawks picked him up, and in the 91 NFL draft, 4th overall pick, and just an amazing player. And he was, AFC Defensive Player of the Year award, and in 1984 to Chuck Knox. And then it's interesting in that he kind of had a falling out with the Seahawks and then reconciled again. So after leading the Seahawks, remember Chuck Knox was the coach then, so they trade him. But they get ready to trade Ken Easley to Arizona for Kelly Stouffer, the quarterback. Well, Easley knew, and he told Paul Moyer, if you listen to the Seahawks broadcast, you'll hear Moyer, that, hey, my days are numbered, which is fine. But the biggest shock for Easley was that when the Cardinals said, let's let's have the physical, he failed it because they said there's an issue with your kidneys. And so it was a idiopathic nephrotic syndrome is what it was called, a severe kidney disease which voided. So then that the trade was voided, and then Kenny Easley actually ended up suing the Seahawks because of he said they gave him too much ibuprofen, which then affected his kidney condition. He was eventually traded, but it was interesting because Gary Wright, amazing Gary Wright, they called up Easley, and when he had finished, after he had retired, and they said, hey, you know what? We'd like to put you, the new owner, Gary Wright, said, Paul Allen would like to put you in the Seattle Seahawks Hall of Fame, their Hall of Fame, which is the Ring of Honor. And he said, okay, fine. But it was interesting. Gary told him, he was like, Mr. Wright, I should tell him. He's helped me in my broadcast career. But Mr. Wright said, you know what? We're not going to name anybody else in the Seahawks Hall of Fame, Ring of Honor, until you accept. So it was a touching moment for there. So then Ken Easley accepted, and he then moved on and was inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame, and he was also the one of the captains for the Super Bowl. And there you go. But just a sad story. Not sad, but a glorious story, I should say. Long lived Ken Easley, and we all got to go. But the amazing thing is he reconciled, was at peace, and he died, 4 days ago at the age of 60. Yep. There you go. So I'm going to play a little, another one here, remembering Ken Easley. And I just think, you know what? Some of these things are important, and when I can run up on there and give you some of these authentic videos, hopefully you get to know the player and you kind of see. So here's Ken Easley talking about.
And there was nothing about the game that I didn't love.
Graceful, yet aggressive, a ball hawk who could deliver big hits, Kenny Easley made an immediate impact for the Seattle Seahawks at the strong safety position. Selected 4th overall out of UCLA in the 1981 NFL Draft, Easley recorded 4 fumble recoveries and 3 interceptions, including an 82-yard pick six as a rookie, earning him AFC Defensive Rookie of the Year honors, as well as the moniker, the Enforcer. While he was a naturally gifted athlete, Easley expected more from himself.
I understood that at each level, if I was going to try to climb the ladder to the top, which is pro football, that I just could not rely on that talent. I had to increase it at every stage in order to achieve what I wanted to achieve. So I didn't sit on the early successes that I had. I built on each level that I went to. And so if I had just set on the idea that I was better than everybody else, I would have never gotten to the National Football League. At each level, I knew that there was more work to do, harder work to do.
Easily led the league with 10 interceptions and tied for the most return for touchdowns in 1984. He was named the AP Defensive Player of the Year for his efforts. Easley was selected to the Pro Bowl 5 times during his 7 seasons and was chosen for the NFL's All-Decade Team of the 1980s.
I never lost the love for the game. Never lost the love for the game.
He was selected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2017.
I like to start by sharing a passage from the Bible that I've leaned on and counted on and trusted with all certainty through the years. And that would be Philippians 4:6. And it says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God."
There you go. Ken Easley, Hall of Famer, Seattle Seahawks, and the original enforcer, I should say. And I mean, you could just tell just the commitment to getting better. So let me see what we'll do. In between breaks, we're gonna go. I think what we're gonna do here, we're gonna play the Seattle Seahawks lost to the Rams. I want to get this video out. So, D-Money, we're gonna run a little late over the break. So, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna play the Mike McDonald presser from yesterday, and then we'll talk about some of the things that happened in the game. But here's Mike McDonald from yesterday's presser in terms of the Seahawks 21-19 loss to the Rams.
Yeah, so there's I guess we avoided a significant injury, which is really positive. I'd say the words I heard were day to day. So you know how that goes. It could be day to day, it could be a week, it could be more than that. So, but nothing significant, which is a huge positive. You know, we're 2 years into this thing on our defensive and special team scheme. It's our first year with our offensive scheme. So I think it's the beginning of that learning phase too. I mean, we're a year into this thing, so it'll be definitely interesting for the games to come. Well, we knew. I mean, the Rams have a great early down operation. They change cadences and they shift in motion a lot, and that was a big point of emphasis throughout the week, is making sure our cleats were in the ground and we had 100% on our comms. And I thought for the most part we did that, especially on early downs. And then our guys can go play when that happens. So tribute to how they trained all week and how they practiced. And I thought it showed up in the game. I think you leave every game with things that you're excited about, and things that you learn from your team about who we can become. Yesterday was no different, and you're leaving every game saying, hey, what could be, from if we can learn from these things and grow from our mistakes and grow from and understand some things on the preparation end that we can improve. That's also exciting to know that, hey, look where we can go if we handle all these other things too. So I think that's what you're taking from every game, yesterday included. Well, we have our end of half strategy on going into games, and normally that's pretty consistent. It does change a little bit based off the opponent and some other things going in. And in general, yeah, we're not in the business of letting them score, and the easiest way for them to do that is to have the ball. So we're trying to really score at the end of the half. But you do want to give yourself enough time where you can have all plays available, and so you're not kind of constricted there. And I actually thought we handled the end of the half really well. I mean, if something were to happen, going in, I mean, really the only thing that could have happened that we could have gotten, put in a tough spot if there was a defensive penalty that put us down like the 1 yard line, and we really only had like one play left, in terms of time, where you could have maybe had, one or two plays. So them not having any timeouts allowed us to operate like that.
How did you feel about the way that the pass rush played out after the first few drives? It seemed like that first punt that you guys forced, that after that, you guys were able to get Matthew Stafford at least off of his normal rhythm in the pocket, and not a lot of snaps, but how did you feel the way that the pass rush played there for the last 3 quarters of the game?
Right. For the most part, I thought our guys played extremely hard in the back end, and we're assignment sound, played with the right leverages, and did a good job to kind of get them off rhythm sometimes. You look at the metrics and what we look at on defense of how much we affected the quarterback, and we didn't meet our mark yesterday. So there's room to grow as well. But the guys rushed hard. I thought they rushed together. We were making like team decisions, which is great. And I thought we made smart decisions when we did get to the quarterback and hitting him legally, and also making him sure, make him know that we were there as well. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's good, but it's also, hey, we didn't hit our mark. And I think, when you're not affecting the quarterback consistently, that's one of the metrics that really drives winning football.
Mazvita.
Hey, Mike, going back to your decision making, you talked a little bit about this in the morning. How do you balance the analytical and the gut instinct? And has that changed a little bit in the last couple of years or not?
I think it's always evolving in terms of what our risk appetite is and what we're trying to do. I think for me personally, I feel like where I've grown is taking the mentality of, trying to be let's figure out how let's go win the game. We're trying to go win football games rather than, what's a way, kind of taking a way around it, a certain situation. So that drives a lot of our decision making. I think when the analytics are aligned with your intuition, that definitely makes it, an easier decision to make. And when they're juxtaposed, then you're, you got to trust your gut about how well, certain sides of the ball are playing, the score of the game, things like that. I don't know. It's probably not an exact science. Probably not a very good answer either. I'm sorry.
All right. So there you go. We'll just stop right there. Mike McDonald, and we can keep going on, but just, we always appreciate coaches answering questions and things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to run on break, give you some quick stats when we come back. And then, of course, we'll talk about the Josh Naylor signing, and then we'll teleport over to Montlake, over to the UW, and talk football and basketball. Yes, indeed. So Seattle Sports Weekly, I'm Mazvita Maraire.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Love food? Here are some storage tips to keep it fresh longer. Store cut fruits and vegetables in the fridge. Place in reusable containers. Keep bread in the freezer for longer storage. 40% of food in the U.S. goes uneaten. Save money, save food, save the planet. Visit Seattle Public Utilities for more tips.
Mga kaibigan, ito po si Kuya Bert Kawili.
And this is Miles Salvador from Australia.
And I'm Norb Kawili, also known as Norbcam.
Kung gusto niyo po ang latest news and events from the Philippines at the local Filipino community, Phil-Am Radio po.
We play Filipino music and interview guests from all around the world.
And I'll keep you updated on the latest Seahawks and sports news.
Kaya always tune in, Phil-Am Radio, every Tuesday, 1 to 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
And in YouTube and Facebook. Salamat po.
Hey, Seattle. Here are some storage tips to love food, stop waste. Onions make potatoes sprout faster. Keep onions away from potatoes. Ripe bananas give off a gas that makes the fruit around them ripen faster. Store bananas away from other fruits. 40% of food in the U.S. goes uneaten. Save money. Save food. Save the planet. Visit Seattle Public Utilities for more tips.
This is Big Poppy, host of Jazz from the Cabinets. Join me each week for a listening tour of the first century of jazz, an eclectic mix of Dixieland, big band, cool jazz, bebop, contemporary jazz, world jazz, all jazz in all forms. That's Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy on Rainier Avenue Radio, streaming worldwide on RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Are you in need of new or gently used clothing? Hope's Community Closet is here to help. We offer a wide range of clothing for men, women, youth, children, and infants. Join us on the fourth Saturday of each month from 12:30 to 4 at the Silent Task Force. We're giving clothing with care, community with heart. Lovely Ladies Lemonade for sale, and shop to the sound of old school soul. Any questions? Contact Alicia Kennedy, Executive Director of Women United at 206-316-7601. 206-316-7601. Come and find the perfect outfit for you and your family. We look forward to seeing you there.
Rainier Avenue Radio.
All right, we are back for the last half hour, if even that, last 24 minutes. Man, I gotta tell you, it's always interesting. Every time when doing these shows, you always think, oh man, do I have enough content? What am I gonna do? And then before you know it, it never fails every time. You end up having too much. And that's a good thing. So we're gonna breeze through this stuff, which is okay. That's what we do. And make sure we give you the latest in terms of from the sporting world. The Seattle Mariners brought back Josh Naylor. And now that was, of all the players, when you go down there and you say, hey, what are some of those things that the Mariners need to do to get back, right? Because you got to remember, the part of this whole thing was, okay, so the Mariners finally, they didn't get to the World Series, but they got close, right? They lost to the Toronto Blue Jays. And then as you go down the list, and one of the players that the Mariners needed to bring back was first baseman Josh Naylor. And as I said, they did that on a 5-year contract through 2030. And ensuring that Josh remains a Mariner for the long haul was a priority for us. Mariner president of baseball operations, Jerry DePorter, said, Josh, intelligent, intensity, toughness, competitiveness show up every day. He's simply a winner. And I mean, in the postseason, this guy was a rock, and that is part of the reason why the Mariners went so far. I mean, he was really just in terms of amazing. And what the Mariners have done now is they brought back their core, right? So, in terms of the future of your team, but Naylor averaged 295. And RBI was 92, was fourth. And this is for the season. Stolen bases, he was fourth. On base percentage, I should say, 353. And then stolen bases, he had 30, which was first among first basemen. So that's kudos and a good move for Jerry DePorter and the Mariners. And they actually are having the press conference right now as we speak. But as happens so much, which makes sense, and we will adhere to that. We were told that no live stream of the broadcast, and we can't even give you social media posts until the press conference is done. So, and as I said, so that'll be for next week. And always, you can always go to cascadiasports.net and get the latest news in terms of any sports that's there. The Seattle sports, we got it for you. And we cover, as you know all that. We cover football. We cover both the NFL and college. We cover WNBA. We cover the Seahawks. And obviously the Mariners. Now, here's what we're gonna do is we're kind of gonna switch, not kind of, we're gonna, kind of doing here. We're gonna switch to UW coverage here, and we're gonna bring on V1, V only. I'm just gonna start. I gotta think of a name. I'm gonna call him Mr. UW or Mr. Montlake, and he's Andrew Bailey. What's going on, Andrew?
How's it going, Maz?
Hey, yeah. I mean, hey, you're. I tell you, how you doing it? I mean, you're covering the football games and you're at the basketball games. I mean, is there any sleep for the budding journalist like such yourself?
Nope, no rest for the weary. Just keep going at it every day. Gotta love the grind.
Well, we gotta love somebody with energy. I mean, that's you can always read Andrew's stuff up there at CascadiaSports.net, and he's the latest and the greatest. Let's just start off with the human side of football. The UW beats Purdue, and then do we have an update on Raiden Vines Bright, the receiver there? What happened?
Yeah, he is okay. He was responsive, and he had full movement of his extremities when they did the tests. After he came off the field and he was attended to by medical staff, he's doing really well. He's in concussion protocol now, but he's doing well, and he's expected to make a good recovery. And Fish said there's even a I can't even believe he said there's a possibility he could play this weekend. I don't think that'll happen, but it sounds like he is going to make the recovery and he's doing well.
Okay. I think he's just right. The concussion protocol, if you will. That's so it goes. But about the game itself. So UW, they a stinker. October 25th. Here they are ranked. Man, they go to Illinois and they lose 42-15, and then you got a great article about this. So going into the Purdue game, now we know Purdue, is going into the game. Well, they're winless in Big Ten Conference, right? And they were 2-8 going to the game. What did you see in terms of the game itself? I mean, the lead up to the game, and then what did you see in the Dogs' 49-13 win?
In the lead up to the game, they're trying to respond or rebound after a really just a tough performance at Wisconsin. Couldn't really generate any offense. They dealt with really difficult field position in that game. Several drives, 5 drives, started inside their own 15 against the Wisconsin Badgers. They only put up 10 points, and really they only scored because they blocked a punt, recovered it at the 1, and then they punched it in on a 1-yard pass right after that. They couldn't really sustain a lot of drives. The weather was really bad. They dealt with a lot of injuries. Denzel Boston was hurt. Jonah Coleman got hurt. And all of a sudden, it's all on Damon Williams to make everything happen. And he makes a couple costly turnovers, and it ends up losing them the football game, unfortunately, in that one, a game that they feel they really should have had. Disappointing. But, again, it seems every time they've had a loss this year, they've come back the next week and been able to figure it out and get a win. So that's what happened on Saturday. They did an incredible job. They moved the football really well. They scored on 7 of 10 possessions, a touchdown. So really good things happened in the response.
I mean, just overall, who filled in for, right, because Boston and Coleman didn't play. Who filled in for them, and what did you observe from the fill-ins or next man up mentality?
I would say all those running backs did an incredible job. Adam Muhammad, 17 carries, 59 yards, 3 touchdowns, did an exceptional job in place of Jonah Coleman. He got his first start, and then Jordan Washington, who missed the Wisconsin game, was out with an illness, came back and played against Purdue and had 108 yards rushing, 68 of them on that really long touchdown run that he had. So good things happened there. And in Denzel Boston's absence, you saw Audric Harris come up with a really big catch for a touchdown, 61-yard touchdown pass from Damon Williams to him. So great job by guys just stepping up and making it happen. And then on the offensive line as well, Zach Henning fills in for Landon Hatchett, who's been dealing with a hand injury, and they shifted John Mills to right tackle, and he did a good job filling in there, and Pocky moves over to left guard to replace Mills there. So just what they all were able to do, just kind of moving things around, and kind of, even with all that movement, they were able to make things happen. So it was good.
Okay, up next for the UW is they will head to Pasadena in the final road game, and might not be too many UCLA games in Pasadena, right? As we're aware of some litigation because the Bruins want to leave there and play in SoFi Stadium, but that's for another segment. What are you seeing from the Bruins? I mean, what's your early take on this game?
The Bruins, they played really well for a small stretch there after they fired their coach. They won 3 in a row. They beat Penn State. That was the big shocker. And since then, they've kind of tapered off. Since that 3-game win streak, they lost their last couple games. They were blown out against Ohio State last week. And they're blown out against Indiana. So the last couple games have been pretty tough for UCLA since that little resuscitation or whatever it was. They kind of just had a little bit of a bounce back there for 3 weeks. Had a 3-game win streak, but kind of settled back into what they kind of were before that. So I would say the Huskies are in a good position going into this weekend. But on the road, the Huskies have had some challenges this year, as you and I have seen, and as Husky fans have seen. So it's that's always a challenge going on the road.
Yeah. Just the Bruins. So let's take a look at their last 3 games here. So they lose to Ohio State 48-10, and Nebraska 28-21. And they also Indiana got them real good, 56-6. To your point, well done, just in your crack reporting, which you are. And then the last win they had was a 20-17 win over Maryland. So what do the Huskies have to do to make this a positive road win? I mean, are you seeing any trends in why they're struggling on the road?
Slow starts. They have not scored a touchdown in the first quarter, I believe, on the road since they played against Washington State way back in September. It's been really a tough go for them to, find the end zone early in games and getting on the scoreboard. So, I think it took till the end of the fourth quarter against Michigan, and really the only score they had against Wisconsin was because of that that block punt that sets them up at the 1-yard line. So moving the football early in games has been a challenge on the road for the Huskies, and they have to be able to figure out a way to game plan and execute better early on, and not let a team they should beat in UCLA stick around and think they have a chance to win.
In yours, you're there. Just how would you? We didn't have the show last week, but just Jed Fish, right, comes out and says, "Hey, you know what? I'm staying." And then he had this whole kind of long dialogue, which I thought was really eloquent. Just he said, when people put names on the list out there, it does not only does it affect the institution, the players, but it affects the family as well. What were your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that were Jed Fish is doing the right thing because he's trying to build a program, and you can't have people saying things like, "Oh, he's going to UCLA or going to Florida," and you're recruiting, and they have a really great recruiting class. They're in the top 20 in recruiting right now, and they have all these good young players who've had major contributions this season. And even reiterated it, I would say, after the Purdue game, we had all these young players playing, and they had such success, and this is what we're building. And when you hear those outside noise, it affects what you're trying to develop and what you're trying to create. And it makes it harder as a coach when you're trying to build something, and to hear all these things from, the media or from people who don't even have associations really with, covering the team closely or don't really know Jed Fish personally. I think it's kind of shoddy to just start saying like, oh, his family's living in Tucson and he's up here coaching in Seattle. It's like, then they start making all these assumptions about that, and he didn't take too kindly to that.
Yeah, I think anytime journalists, with the unspoken rule, I don't know, it was back in the day that you leave people's families, out of any coverage that you have because it's personal. But I mean, there is something to be said about. Sure, he doesn't mind being on list per se. You know what I mean? Like if you're on list, but don't go into, well, maybe him and his wife don't get along, all that stuff, which in the end I thought he covered it very nicely. My daughter, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we want her to graduate. She's been in 5 schools in the last 4 years or something. So fair enough. But we've got a couple minutes here. Let's switch over to the UW basketball program. So now, wait a minute, Kevin John, they've got a game tonight, don't they? UW plays Southern.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they do.
Early on, what have you seen in this early season? They're 3-1. They beat Wazoo after their one loss has been to Baylor. So, what are you seeing?
I've seen a team that's been very resilient. They've dealt with a lot of injuries early this year. They lost another couple potentially here to injury too. Bryson Tucker's definitely going to be out 2 to 3 weeks with a leg or ankle injury. And then Steinbach got his ankle rolled against Washington State. His status for tonight is kind of up in the air. They didn't make a determination whether or not he was going to play or not. And then I would say Zoom Diallo has been the player to watch, though, so far, other than Hannes Steinbach, who's done a fantastic job, 3 double-doubles in a row. But Zoom Diallo had an exceptional game against Washington State. His coach Sprinkle gave him a ton of praise yesterday for his performance, not just offensively, what he was doing, passing the ball, moving the ball, and the tempo and the style he was playing, and his ability to score. He scored 20 points. He was also able to do great things on the defensive side of the ball and played with a lot of intensity and a lot of competitive fire. And so he's been really fun to watch as he's matured. He's in his second season as a sophomore guard, and he's scored in double figures in each game so far this year. So he's the guy I would, if I was going to say the player to watch tonight, would be Zoom Diallo.
Yeah, and he is their biggest star. Just basketball. What kind of team is this? The Danny Sprinkle. What kind of? I mean, are they transition, half court, a little bit of both? What kind of team is this?
They're still trying to figure that out. I even asked Danny Sprinkle yesterday about that, and he said, with all these injuries, it's kind of been difficult to kind of figure out who we are as a team and the kind of style that we can play with, because we've had to move guys into so many different roles because of the injuries, and we're still working on things and trying to figure out who we are and what kind of team we are. And really, at times they've been really just a physical team on the interior. They've out-rebounded everybody this year that they played, and that's a first, I think, going back to 2009 or 2008, 2009, that they've been able to out-rebound each of their opponents in the first 4 games of the year. So they're really putting together a team that's got a lot of size on the interior with Lathan Somerville, Hannes Steinbach. Bryson's been there, but he's gotten hurt, but he's been there too. And then they also have Big Frank, who's been there forever, it seems like, Frank Kepnong. So they're really big inside, and then they got some good young guards in Zoom Diallo, JJ Montequit, and Wesley Yates. So they're kind of still figuring out the identity of who they are as a team. They had great performances from Wesley Yates and Zoom Diallo last week. Wesley got 26 points against Washington State, and Zoom had 20. So looking good so far. and just kind of, like I said, perfect time to figure out who you are because you're a non-conference, a little bit softer scheduled. So those things help too.
Yeah, well done. I mean, that's why you schedule those. So if we can because we're journalists, we can take a look at the next few games. They're at Nevada in the Palm Desert Classic, day before Thanksgiving, right? And then
Might be on Thanksgiving. I can't remember.
yeah, it is on November. It is Thanksgiving Day. There you go, right? So all y'all fans, you can get the little turkey, and well, we know you're going to channel surf in between, but you can definitely watch a little football. And it's 1:30 kickoff, tip off, I should say. And then there you go. And then Palm Desert, and so they're down there for Thursday, Friday. So then they've got Colorado or San Francisco, so it's a tournament, and then they will start. Looks like they start Big Ten play on December 3rd against the Bruins. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's a staggered start for Big Ten play because they'll play UCLA on December 3rd, and then that Saturday they'll play USC, and then they'll go back and play a couple more non-conference opponents, and then they'll come back and start again in Big Ten conference play in January for full on. So it's kind of interesting. They stagger it. They have 2 games, and then they go play 3 or 4 more non-conference games, and then once January starts, it's all Big Ten from there on.
Yeah, Southern Utah, Seattle U, the battle for Seattle on December 19th, San Diego, Utah, and then Indiana on January the 4th, just like you said. All right, just amazing stuff. Great stuff, Andrew. Thank you very much. And as I said, y'all can read his stuff. He's got a couple things up there. The preview, the kind of what Jed Fish talked about yesterday, and some injury updates. And then, of course, he's got a preview for tonight's game up there, CascadiaSports.net. All right, Andrew, thank you very much. And we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So there you go. And I didn't get never do, but that's all right. Just in passing, Joao Paulo is done playing for the Sounders. He's moving on, and might have to get. We'll need to get Peter Hattrip here. We got to dissect the Sounders because they've got some. Stephen Fry is a free agent, unrestricted. Paul Rothrock is another free agent. So, all right, we'll have to break down the Sounders rosters next time, but we have got to go. Coming up, it is Clean Greens, and real good show coming up. So tune in right after this. Clean Greens coming up with Breon Scott. I'm Mazvita Maraire for the Cascade for Rainier Avenue Radio World. Thank you, D Money, for all you do behind the scenes, and thank you all for watching and listening.